Yeah, I have a. Is there any way that we can do mini live busts?
Yes, we do a lot of mini Liebusting. And Kim McCaffrey, who's normally on this call, who leads the Jubilee Church, when they go to spirit fairs and they take a team of Liebusters from the church to a New Age fair, they'll set up a tent and they'll basically be doing mini Liebusts for people. And they're so powerful that it really implants a hunger for more. So after the person experiences it, then they're like, oh, I want to do this more. Can I have some more? How about you, Lyndon? Do you want to share with her? Because you do mini Liebusts too, don't you?
Do. And quite often when I do them, I don't know what happened to that person. I sometimes don't ever see them again. And so I don't often get, I want to do more, which is interesting, isn't it? So most of mine, not all, but most of mine are with non-Christians. So that could be somebody who serves me in a shop, somebody who comes in to the hospice shop when I'm doing a shift, just somebody I get talking to. God just puts me with people. It might be in a cafe or anything. And you'll be amazed when you say to Father, I am willing to do that, how many people start a conversation with a negative statement about themselves. People so often say, I can't, I don't, or that's me, or whatever. And that, of course, gives you a perfect opportunity to say, well, that's a lie you're believing. And that just, and with a smile on your face, and just say, I bet that's dragging you down. And that easily opens up a conversation into asking them to have a look at where that lie's come from. How long have they been carrying that lie? How long have they been believing it? And it's not always possible to, or it's not always right to specifically say, ask Jesus to show you, because of the people don't know who Jesus is. But most people, if you speak to them, do believe in a higher power than themselves. And the thing that most people feel comfy with is love, is referring to it as love. And so once you get going with somebody, it only takes, sometimes you think it's a long time, but perhaps you've only spent 5 minutes with them, 5 or 6 minutes, in which time they've recognized that the thing that they said is a lie they're believing. They've begun to think about where that lie is rooted, where that's come from. And then it's easy to say to people, you don't have to carry that lie. Would you be prepared to nail that lie to love? Because love is bigger than any lie. Would you be prepared to nail that lie to love? And most people will say yes. And then you can just take them that next step and say, just ask love, what is the truth that replaces that lie? You've got space now for truth. So what's the truth? And it's easy, and people are unburdened, relieved. They feel freer. They feel, and they feel happier, and they feel, and often I've seen people, because I live in a small town, so if it's people that I've done that with here, I'll see them as I'm in the shops or walking, and people will stop me and say, I've been so much better since we talked the other day. I want to say thank you for that. And sometimes people do say to me, it's made me realize other things that I'm believing that are probably not true. And so we then go on and we actually do another mini lie bust. So I never use those words. that is what
So
we're doing.
basically you start, of course, to find out, the lie that they're believing, and then you refill it with truth, and then
Yeah.
anything after that then? If it's just a mini?
Yeah, I mean, it depends who they are, where they are, and where this. I mean, the most important thing for me is it's spirit led, and often afterwards I can barely remember what even has happened because the spirit has just opened my mouth and just taken me where I'm going with them. So there are very few people with whom I would be led to go to looking at parts, but I won't say that there aren't any, because some of them there are. It's really clear from the first time they open their mouth that Father is showing me that they're fragmented and there is a part of them that's stuck. And you see, if you think about it, it's not hard to say to somebody, do you think there's a part of you that start where I look at you a bit puzzled and say, there might be something that happened in your life, and that's your default position. So something occurs and it just triggers you back to that place. Now, for most people, whether they know Father or not, that's not too weird. They can still go there. So if Spirit leads you to go to parts, then yes, it's perfectly possible to do it.
And sometimes, Kim, it's like the mini lie bust is just replacing lies with truth, or sometimes the mini lie bust is just helping them integrate a part, like Lyndon's saying. And what I would always say is, once they get the truth, I do always say, how does that make you feel?
Mm.
And when you're going into the conversation of, do you feel stuck in your life? How does that make you feel? And then when you help them, it's like, how does that make you feel? And that's kind of like the glory bit.
Yes. I mean, there are quite a lot of them I've done. People have come to Jesus. Well, to be more accurate with that, with me, how it usually happens is Jesus comes to them. I don't actually do anything. Sometimes people will say, when I say to them, how does that make you feel? Or what are you experiencing? What are you seeing sometimes? And sometimes they'll say, oh, I can see, I'm sure it's Jesus, people will say. And I'll say, well, it will be. Jesus is a bringer of truth. And you've just been directing this freedom you're experiencing towards love. Well, Jesus is love. They're one and the same. So it's not surprising that you're seeing him. And I'll usually say to them then, just say really quite simply, he created you and he loves you. He doesn't want you to carry stuff around. He loves you. And they look at me like, I'm not going to church. One lady said to me the other day, I'm not going to church. And I say to them, he actually doesn't care whether you go to church or not. He really doesn't care. It doesn't make any difference to Jesus whether you go to church. It's just about love.
Yeah.
If you found a place here today to feel that love, you're going to walk away without that baggage, and that's going to help you love other people. And I think I do believe it is about kicking this preconceived idea of what, because people think to be a Christian means you're a churchgoer. That's, forget Jesus. Well, it's almost forget God, isn't it? You're a churchgoer. That equals you're a Christian.
It's religion.
And so when you're able to say to people, that's not how it works. It's not what it's about. God is love. Don't make it fancy. And some lady said to me the other day as well, there was that same lady, she said, well, I'm never going to start reading a Bible. And I said, well, there's no requirement to read the Bible unless you want to. But I said, the thing about the Bible is it speaks, and sometimes it speaks out loud to you, And before you know it, you'll find yourself picking up a Bible. She looked at me very like, no, I said, I laughed with her and said, well, next time I bump into you, you tell me whether you've opened the Bible, whether it's spoken to you. And I know that as she walks away, she's going to remember that.
Yeah.
And the chances are that, because in many of the houses here in UK, there is still a Bible somewhere. It might not have been open for years, but there will be. Probably an old King James version. But you know, I look forward. I believe that one day that I'll bump into that lady down the street and she'll say, I opened the Bible. You know, and then I can say to her, what version have you got? Well, I've got one that's much easier to read. Do you want me to bring it to you? And that will have all come from,
Yeah.
you know, like when Rosa spoke. And one of the first things she said was, I can't remember, she said something about, I can't do it. I can't do, you know, she spoke a lie, didn't she, about herself, her own was. And we're all programmed now, aren't we, immediately to pick that up. Do you find that? That as you see people in the street, wherever you are, somebody speaks. Somebody said to me the other day, oh, I can't do that. It makes me remember what a failure I was at school. And, you know, immediately I trigger into, you weren't a failure at school, that's a lie. And then a mini lie bust ensues.